The Scholastic Games of Lorain County welcome Cassie Brooks, Nico Morello, and Oliver Palmer, the team from Brookside High School. And the opposing team, Elena Strzerzewski, Rachel Allen, and David Vidovich, the team from Olmsted Falls High School.
It's the award-winning Scholastic Games of Lorain County, a weekly academic competition featuring quiz teams from area high schools, now in its 31st year. Produced with funding from the Northern Corporation, from the Alfred T. Askew Fund, administered by the Community Foundation of Lorain County, and from the Nord Family Foundation with support from the Community West Foundation, and presented on WEOL by the Elyria Public Library System. Now here's your quizmaster, Jim Merling.
Thank you, David. In this series of weekly programs, academic teams from area high schools throughout Lorain County will be competing. In this, our 31st year, in a special format that we put together for social distancing. We're all in our various homes. I think that's universally true. Two teams will compete each week, physically separated at school or at home. Playoff eliminations will end with the top two teams for our annual championship coming up in May. And who knows, we may even be able to be together by that time, but we have this format for now.
We call this the initial round because it's first, and because every answer will begin with the same letter. Each team will be asked 5 questions, and each answer will have a 10-point value, except for one randomly placed plus points question. That one's worth 20 points. The questions are assigned to the teams by numbers selected by a team captain. Jim?
Thank you, David. The team from Brookside won the toss and elected to go first, and so they're about to. Cassie Brooks is the captain of the team. Cassie, give us 5 numbers between 1 and 10.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Okay, I see a pattern there. The letter is O. That's the initial, the first letter of every answer in this round. Let's see how the teams do. An audio question is what you get first. This comes from what form of musical composition? Of course, that's the Hallelujah Chorus from Handel's Messiah, but what is the name given to a major musical composition for orchestra, choir, and soloists, usually with a religious theme, which differs from an opera because it is a concert piece and not theater? The answer begins with the letter O. And we'll have to call time. It's an oratorio. Your next one, what is the capital of Canada?
Ottawa.
Ottawa is correct. The next question is, name the branch of medicine and surgery that deals with the diagnosis and treatment of eye disorders?
Ophthalmology.
Ophthalmology is correct. Your next one, what is the name for the geographic region that includes Australasia, Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia? A certain geographic region that includes all of those island countries.
Oceania.
Oceania is right. Another 10 points, and you have one more question in this round. She is the daughter of Polonius, sister of Laertes, and potential wife of Prince Hamlet. Who is this Shakespearean character, one of many whose fate is tragic death?
Ophelia.
Ophelia is right. You've done mighty well. Remaining questions go to the team from Olmsted Falls, and I see Elena is frozen for now, so we'll hope for the best and see if the other team members can get the answers in the meantime. The first question is this. American author William Sidney Porter is better known by what pen name? The pen name of William Sidney Porter, the American author of short stories such as Gift of the Magi. No answer on that? Well, it's O. Henry. O. Henry. This is the plus points question, worth 20 points if someone on the team gets the answer. Name the third most populous city of Ukraine, a multi-ethnic urban area with a thriving seaport and a major tourism center. A city in Ukraine that starts with the letter O.
Odessa?
And it is indeed Odessa, a score, the first one for the team from Olmsted Falls. What Charles Dickens novel features the characters of Fagin, Mr. Bumble, and the Artful Dodger? Made into a musical show at one point.
Jim,
Maybe
she
Elena?
did give the answer correctly. She did. You could barely
you?
hear it though.
Did you get it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, the judges have determined that she did say Oliver Twist, which is the correct answer. So that's a lucky score. And this is one of our stumbling blocks using Zoom, which we have encountered for the first time, fortunately, not on our earlier programs. The next question is this. What is the name given to the 3 species of great apes native to Indonesia and Malaysia? And remember, it starts with the letter O, the answer to this question. A species of... Say it again, David.
Orangutan.
And that is correct. Another score. And your next one. What is the societal, medical, and scientific word used to describe a person between the ages of 80 and 89? Someone in their 80s is known as a what? After call time, it's an octogenarian. And that's the end of the round. David?
After one round, the score is Olmsted Falls 40, Brookside 40.
A tie score as we end this round and get ready for the current events round, which is next after a short break.
Did you know that 10% of those living in poverty experience homelessness? Help the homeless today at SucksPlus.org. Sucks Plus is an initiative of Community West Foundation that helps homeless people in Greater Cleveland by collecting socks, boots, clothing, and more for their neighbors in need. Help the homeless today by visiting SucksPlus.org to learn more. Anyone can give. Anyone can help. SucksPlus.org to help today.
Thank you, David. And for our current events round, we start again with the team from Brookside and Cassie Brooks. Give us 5 numbers between 1 and 10 once again, and we'll see what happens.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The first 5. Okay. Again, from current events, the first one is this. The U.S. Customs Service recently banned all cotton and tomato products produced in China's Xinjiang province from being imported into the United States. What was the reason for this punitive action by customs?
The persecution of the Uyghur Muslims.
Well, that is correct. Yeah, I had down here the use of slave labor, but it was from that group. So we are giving a correct answer. And your second one is this. In a recently released statement, the co-chairs of Oberlin College's Initiative on Racial Equality and Diversity published their assessment of the riot and violence which occurred at the U.S. Capitol January 6th. What did those professors believe was at the heart of the Capitol riot? Just one major issue, they say.
White supremacy.
And I think we can accept that. Yeah, it was racism or racial inequality. And racism, of course, is the basis of that. So another correct answer. Recently, the San Diego Zoo recorded its first infection of the COVID-19 virus by animals. What species of animal is suspected of contracting COVID there from an asymptomatic staff member?
Gorilla.
And it was a gorilla at the San Diego Zoo. And we move on. New research from the journal Pediatrics is dispelling a long-standing claim from the manufacturers of e-cigarettes that users 18 years old and younger. The new research now claims that e-cigarettes can increase what risk in younger adults?
Lung cancer.
Well, that's sort of, that would be an eventual one. I think we're going to have to say incorrect on that. It's that they were previously saying that it would not lead to use of regular cigarettes, but they think that now it will increase the risk of them going to regular tobacco. And finally, this question to your team. In the second week of January, this country experienced its worst coronavirus flare-up since the summer, resulting in the lockdown of more than 22 million people. Where was this renewed lockdown necessary? It was a country originally involved in the spread of the virus. The worst coronavirus flare-up since the summer, causing a large lockdown of 22 million in the country that originally was involved in the spread of the virus. What country was that?
China.
And China is right. And remaining questions in this round go to the team from Olmsted Falls. Yes, Bob Tayak, one of our judges, will be speaking for Elena because she'll be answering via text because of a computer issue. So here are the questions remaining for the Olmsted Falls team. The Speaker of the House laid it out.
The ayes are 232. The nays are 197.
On this motion, she said, the historic motion Nancy Pelosi was gaveling to approval as it related to the American presidency is what?
The impeachment of Donald Trump.
That is it. Yeah, that is correct. Now your next one is plus points question. This scores 20 if you get the answer. Before leaving office, President Trump announced recipients for the nation's highest civilian award, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. One of those announced was Bill Belichick, head coach of the NFL New England Patriots. What was Belichick's reaction to the honor? We seem to have lost Elena on the screen.
She just responded, Elena responded, he denied it.
And that is correct.
That is correct.
A 20-point score there because it was the plus points. The World Health Organization called an emergency meeting because of newly identified variants of the coronavirus, which have rapidly spread to 50 countries after originating in what 2 countries? What is one of the 2 source countries? We only need one. Again, this is the new variant of the coronavirus which has appeared.
Elena responded, England, which is correct.
Okay, so Elena came through with that answer. When the U.S. Capitol building was invaded by rioters, Christine Priola was photographed inside the House chamber at the Speaker's desk. The woman from nearby Willoughby is now facing several federal charges that could lead to imprisonment. Her job back in Ohio was an occupational therapist with a Northern Ohio school district. What Northern Ohio school district was it? But apparently we don't have one. The answer is the Cleveland Public Schools. This is Chief Pentagon spokesman Jonathan Hoffman speaking on the day before the presidential inauguration.
These are vetting efforts that identify any questionable behavior in the past or any potential link to questionable behavior, not just related to extremism.
What unprecedented effort is he referring to during security preparations? What group is he talking about vetting in this particular instance? And again, he was saying that the day prior to the inauguration of the president.
Elena has responded, the National Guard.
Which is the correct answer, yes. Scoring their last 10 points of this round. And David, what's the score to this point?
Well, up to this point, Olmsted Falls has 90 points and Brookside has 80.
Very close as we move on to our higher scoring round, so stay with us. Our theme round is next, after a short break here on WEOL, the Scholastic Games of Lorain County. You're listening to the Scholastic Games of Lorain County.
Well, up to this point, Olmsted Falls has 90 points and Brookside has 80.
Thank you, David. This is our President's Day program. It's President's Day weekend to those listening on the radio. We did pre-record the program, so this may be a surprise to the students. But it is our President's Day show, and so our theme in the theme round is 20th century U.S. presidents.
The third round has 10 10-point questions like rounds 1 and 2, but all questions will be related to a particular theme. Like earlier rounds, 5 questions will be directed to each team, this time with a set of questions selected by the other team, as the captain selects odd or even numbered questions. A big difference in this round, when there is an incorrect answer or no answer from the team to which the question is directed, the other team will have a chance to answer it. Again in this round, there will be one randomly placed plus points question. Jim?
And we're going to go to the captain of the other team, David Vidovich, to tell us whether you want the odd numbers or the even numbered questions.
Let's go with even.
After leaving the presidency, Jimmy Carter became a national advocate, fundraiser, and active participant in the efforts of what nonprofit organization?
Habitat for Humanity.
That is it. A score of 10 points starting out for Brookside. How many times was Franklin Roosevelt elected president? How many times was he elected?
4.
4 is right. Yeah, three full terms, but he was elected a fourth time. So that's the 10-point score for Olmsted Falls. Let's go next to the question for Brookside. Who is the youngest person to assume the office of president, doing so at the age of 42? He took office early in the century.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt is correct. A second score for Brookside as we move on. And for Olmsted Falls, the 34th president was a 5-star U.S. Army general who commanded all the Allied forces in Europe during World War II. Who is he?
Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Eisenhower is the man. A score for Olmsted Falls. The infamous Teapot Dome scandal, bribery and corruption in the newly formed Veterans Bureau, and charges of graft and theft by the Attorney General by his top aide all took place during the presidency of what person? A 20th century president.
Warren G. Harding.
And Harding is correct. Another score for Brookside. And now for Olmsted Falls. George H.W. Bush was one of the youngest combat pilots in World War II, enlisting at the age 18 and flying missions at 19. And what branch of the military did the first President Bush serve?
Navy.
And he was in the Navy. Moving on to this question for Brookside. Bill Clinton was the governor of what state prior to his inauguration as president in 1993?
Arizona.
Incorrect, so we can throw that answer over to the other team.
Arkansas.
And Arkansas is the score for Olmsted Falls. And now Olmsted Falls gets this question. Who served as vice president and then president but hasn't been elected to either position? Unique among all presidents, in fact, this 20th century president. And we're not getting an answer from Olmsted Falls. How about Brookside?
Ford.
Gerald Ford is right. That scores for Brookside. And here's a question for Brookside, which happens to be a plus points question that scores 20 if you get the answer. His terms as president saw the implementation of the draft with the Selective Service Act and the United States entry into World War I. Who is he?
Wilson.
Again, and Woodrow Wilson is right for 20 points for Brookside. And an audio question is the last one for Olmsted Falls. What U.S. president said in a speech in West Berlin, Germany?
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
And who was that? Answered by all of those cheers.
Ronald Reagan.
And that was Ronald Reagan, a last score of 10 points for that team. And back to David for the score at the end of this round.
I came, I saw, I concurred. Okay. After 3 rounds, the score is Olmsted Falls 140, Brookside 140.
Wow, a tie score as we go into our highest scoring rounds. It could go either way, obviously. Before we continue with the quiz, it's the time on the program where we hear from each of the students to tell us a little bit about themselves and about their schools. Let's go first to Brookside High School. The captain there is Cassie Brooks. Let's start with her, Cassie Brooks, to tell us about herself and the school.
My name is Cassie Brooks, and I'm a junior at Brookside. I participate in the National Honor Society and French Honor Society, and I plan to study microbiology after high school.
Hi, my name is Nico Morello, and I am a sophomore in Brookside. Besides Academic Challenge, I'm part of the Brookside soccer team in Brookside's Ohio Mile United Nations. So far, I have no idea what I will do after high school.
My name is Oliver Palmer. I'm a junior at Brookside, and besides Academic Challenge, I'm in French Honor Society and marching band. And after high school, I hope to study pre-med at Ohio State.
That's the team from Brookside. We'd have a big round of applause, except we have no audience. So let's just go over to Olmsted Falls and find out about that team.
Hi, I'm David Vidovich. Most of the other clubs I was in being canceled due to the pandemic, which is unfortunate. I'd like to thank our coaches, Aaron McCreary and Alexandra Flanagan, for helping us set everything up.
And we've had trouble getting through to Elena Straszewski. Maybe Rachel could tell us about the two of you. Rachel Allen is the third member of the team.
I'm Rachel Allen. I'm in 10th grade at Homestead Falls. I do many clubs that I can't even name them all. I am planning to, after I get out of school, go to some art school because I'm in the arts. And Elena is my friend, and she really likes space.
Well, I wish Elena had a better computer hookup, but you know, that's the breaks.
Yeah.
And we're glad that she can use the chat function of Zoom in order to give us so many of the answers. You're listening to the Scholastic Games of Lorain County. We'll be back right after a short break.
Nordson Corporation, with roots in Lorain County and a strong commitment to the community, delivers precision technology solutions that help customers succeed worldwide. Nordson Corporation engineers and manufactures products for dispensing adhesives, coatings, sealants, biomaterials, and other substances, serving industry in 35 countries. The Scholastic Games team is proud to have Nordson Corporation as our charter benefactor as we salute academic excellence in Lorain County. People, places, and things are the focus of this round, in which 5 famous people, events, institutions, or famous locations will be described, each with a series of clues of decreasing difficulty. This is traditionally a buzz-in round. In the absence of buzzers, when a team is ready to answer, any team member may interrupt the clue by calling out the name of the team or school. It will stop the asking of the question. An answer coming from the first clue is worth 50 points. After 2 clues, it's worth 40 points, and it diminishes to 30, 20, and 10 points as succeeding clues are required. After either team gives an incorrect answer, that team is eliminated from that particular item, and only the other team may respond and score from the remaining clues. If both teams call out simultaneously, and the judges cannot determine which was first, the subject of that series of clues will be discarded.
We hope not to have many discards. We're going to get started in just a second. We do ask you to call out. Your voice is the buzzer, so you have to really call out strongly so that we hear it, and especially if you are interrupting one of the clues as I read them. Our first item is a person. Here's the 50-point clue. He was born in Niles, Ohio in 1843. He attended Allegheny College in Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania, not far from Pittsburgh, but left before graduation. Again, born in Ohio, 1843, and attended Allegheny College. For 40 points, he was the 5th president born in Ohio, and also the 5th president to die in office. For 30 points, he was president when the U.S. declared war on Spain in 1898.
Brookside.
And Brookside is buzzing in.
McKinley.
McKinley is the answer, and that's a 30-pointer. Our second item is a place. This is the 50-point clue now. It's a federal republic of 22 states and 9 union territories. Aryan peoples invaded the area in 1500 B.C., bringing Hinduism with them.
Falls.
Now, Homestead Falls buzzes for 50 points.
Iran.
And it is not Iran, so all the remaining clues go to Brookside. For 40 points in the 1520s, the Muslim Empire of the Mughals was founded, and Europeans began to have influence in this country. In the 18th century, the English and French sought to control the country. For 30 points, the British were victorious, and their first governor-general of the country was Warren Hastings in 1774. After the Sepoy Rebellion of 1857 and 58, both Hindus and Muslims recognized British supremacy.
Brookside.
And Brookside has a 30-point answer.
India.
India is correct, a 30-point score for the team from Brookside. As we move on to our next item, we would have mentioned that it became a sovereign state in our 20-point clue, and we would have mentioned people like Nehru and Mahatma Gandhi in the 10-point clue, which we didn't need. Our next item, though, is a thing. For 50 points, found today in many of the world's major cities, the first one dates to 1863. It was in London. For 40 points, other cities followed. The one in Budapest opened in 1896. The one in Paris dates to 1900. The first in the United States was in Boston in 97. This is a thing, a phenomenon in many cities. For 30 points, this clue. When first opened in 1863, London's was only 3.75 miles in length.
Olmsted Falls.
Olmsted Falls buzzes for 30.
What is a subway?
We are talking about subways, correct, a 30-point score. Of course, the London one is much longer than 3 3/4 miles now. We would have mentioned the New York subway in our 10-point clue, and the fact there's a fast food chain that is named after it. We move on now to another person. For 50 points, this first clue, he was born in 1856. He graduated as a medical student from the University of Vienna in 1881. He studied under Jean-Martin Charcot in 1885. For 40 points, Charcot's interest in the subject of hysteria converted him to the study of psychiatry.
Olmsted Falls.
Olmsted Falls buzzes.
Sigmund Freud.
Sigmund Freud is right for 40 points. Not a buzz, but a good enough call there from the Olmsted Falls team. We would have mentioned Alfred Adler and Carl Jung in our 20-point clue, and the id and ego and superego in our 10-point clue. Didn't need that. 40 points to Olmsted Falls. A person again in our next item for 50 points. He developed a series of numbers, originally in an attempt to solve a puzzle about the breeding rate of rabbits.
Olmsted Falls.
Olmsted Falls buzzes.
Fibonacci.
Leonardo Fibonacci is correct for 50 points. Wow. We would have mentioned his series of numbers, how they begin anyway, in our 10-point clue, but we didn't need that. I didn't even need that year 1225 in the 50-point clue. So that is your 5 items. That's the end of this round. We'll tally the score and tell you what the score is so far prior to going into our 5th and final round after a short break. You're listening to the Scholastic Games of Lorain County on WEOL. I'm Jim Rilling, and we'll be back shortly.
This program, the Scholastic Games of Lorain County, is produced with the support of the Community West Foundation, with funding from Nordson Corporation, the Nord Family Foundation, and the Alfred T. Askew Fund, administered by the Community Foundation of Lorain County. We're presented on WEOL by the Elyria Public Library System.
David, what's the score to this point?
Well, at the end of 4 rounds, Olmsted Falls has 260 points. Brookside has 200 points.
So that's a nice lead going into the final round for them, but a lot of scoring potential is ahead. First, some quick thank yous. We thank Ashland University, Baldwin-Wallace University, Tiffin University, Oberlin College, Heidelberg University, Ursuline College, John Carroll University, Lake Erie College, Lorain County Community College, the University of Findlay. And in connection with this particular program, Brookside High School will be receiving a $1,000 tuition credit award to Ashland University. Olmsted Falls, a $1,000 tuition credit award to Tiffin University. And both high schools will be receiving a $1,000 tuition credit award to the University of Findlay. Of course, we thank all of the colleges and universities that participate in this program and have through the years for their very important contributions.
This is our 5th and final round in today's competition. This program is heard on WEOL 930 on the AM dial, and this round will consist of 9 minutes and 30 seconds of toss-up and bonus questions. Toss-up questions will be directed to the 2 teams in alternation, beginning with the team that went second in the first 2 rounds. When a toss-up question is heard, a team that answers correctly will earn 10 points, plus an opportunity to hear and answer a bonus question, which can earn that team an additional 20 points. When an incorrect answer is given, the team will lose 10 points, and the other team will be given a chance to hear the entire question and score accordingly. When a team answers the other team's question, the following toss-up question will still be directed to that team. There are no deducted points for missed bonus questions.
Thank you, David. And when the 9.5 minutes are up, we will hear this sound.
And we'll call time and ring this off.
Ah, excellent. I'm sure we'll hear that. We did. It worked real well in the last couple programs, so we'll follow up with it. We go first to Olmsted Falls with this question. What's the southernmost of the large Mississippi River tributaries? The largest of the southernmost of the larger Mississippi River tributaries.
The Tennessee.
And it's there's one actually below that. We can give that to Brookside if they want to take a chance. And we'll just have to give the answer. It's the Red River. That's a fairly large one, the Red River. So we'll move on. This one goes first to Brookside. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration is created during what president's term of office? NASA created under what president's term?
JFK.
A different one, so we can give it to Olmsted Falls. Tempted to give the answer right away, but Olmsted Falls can have a chance.
Eisenhower.
And Eisenhower is correct, and you get the bonus question. Under whose administration was the Kansas-Nebraska Act passed? A little earlier in our history.
Millard Fillmore.
It's actually Pierce. So sorry about that. This one goes first to Olmsted Falls. Or what element's symbol is SB? SB. Stibium is its old Latin name, but we call it something else. We can go to Brookside, I guess.
Antimony.
Antimony is right. And your bonus question is, what element is named after the asteroid Pallas?
Palladium?
And palladium is right for 20 bonus points. An audio question now is the next one, which goes to Brookside first. What is the time signature of this music? The very popular Carousel Waltz. What is the time?
3/4.
A correct answer for Brookside, 3/4 time. And the bonus question for Brookside is this. Marches are almost always in either 2/4 or cut time, or they may be written in what other time signature in which beats are subdivided into 3? The other time signature used for marches.
3/2.
We'll have to rule that as incorrect because it's 6/8. I mean, 3/2 would be the same thing, but 6/8 is the common signature. So no score on the bonus. We go back to Olmsted Falls now. Okay, this audio question relates to this reading by Sir John Gielgud.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date.
This is an example from Shakespeare of what 14-line variety of poem?
Sonnet.
Two correct answers from the team at Olmsted Falls. And so here is your bonus question. What is the 5-footed rhyme scheme associated with sonnets? The rhyme scheme for sonnets.
A, B, B, A, B.
But we're looking for the 5-footed rhyme scheme. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Elena has said an answer.
Yeah, I'm sorry, she did. And it is iambic pentameter. So that would be correct.
That is correct for the 20 bonus points. This next one for Brookside. In 1939, who wrote a letter to President Roosevelt warning that the Germans were hard at work on an atomic bomb? Again for Brookside.
Albert Einstein.
Einstein is right for 10 points, and your bonus question is, when Einstein left Germany to avoid religious prosecution, or I should say persecution, he accepted a full-time position in what state, home of Princeton University? Einstein.
New Jersey.
And New Jersey is correct for 20 bonus points. And we go back to Olmsted Falls. In mythology, when Venus, the goddess of beauty and love, heard people saying that Psyche was more beautiful than she sent what son of hers to shoot the girl with one of his arrows? Venus sent her.
Eros is an answer from Elena.
Eros is the Greek name, and I gave the Roman god. Can you give us the equivalent Roman god? We'll give you a chance on that.
We couldn't hear who responded.
Cupid.
She had Cupid, and Cupid is correct.
And Cupid is correct. All right. And was Narcissus a male or a female as your bonus question?
Male.
And he was a male, scoring 20 bonus points. Back to Brookside now. It was the first regulatory commission in U.S. history which goes by the letters ICC. We need its full name, of course. The ICC, the letters stand for what? The first official commission? Again, this is for Brookside. First regulatory commission. And we're not getting a response from Brookside, so we'll go to Olmsted Falls. And we're not getting an answer. So the answer is the Interstate Commerce Commission. So let's move on. Olmsted Falls gets this question first. What Hebrew word for great house was the biblical title for the kings of Egypt? The Hebrew word for great house was the biblical title for the kings of Egypt.
Pharaoh.
And Pharaoh is correct. And the bonus question for Olmsted Falls is, give the full name for the Egyptian pharaoh King Tut.
Tutankhamun.
Tutankhamun is right for 20 bonus points. Let's go back to Brookside now. Name the famous Cathedral Church of Paris on the Ile de la Cité on the Seine River. It was begun in 1163 and finished in 1313.
Notre Dame de Paris.
Notre Dame is correct, and the bonus question, Notre Dame is one of the world's finest examples of what type of architecture? This is true particularly because of its sculptured portals, the style developed from the Romanesque.
Gothic.
And Gothic is right for your 20 bonus points. Now for the team from Olmsted Falls, some music to identify for your audio.
Jim, there's time.
Well, since the time is up and no one even had a chance to hear the question, I guess that's it. And so we're going to take some time to double check that we have the right score to this point and tell you which team is our winner today on the Scholastic Games. After a short break, we'll also be telling you the name of the student selected by our judges and scorekeepers to be our standout scholar, and that involves a $50 prize to the student so selected. And we'll learn all of that after a couple of messages.
Going into the final round of today's competition, the score was Olmsted Falls 260, Brookside 200. Then the winning team picked up 90 points. So did the runner-up team. That kind of tells it right there. Our final score, Brookside 290, Olmsted Falls 350.
So congratulations to Olmsted Falls. And interestingly, our standout scholar is on the Brookside team, which often happens. Cassie Brooks on Brookside is our standout scholar. So Cassie, congratulations to you. And that's it for the program this week. Next week, 2 more area high schools will be competing. They will be Avon High School and North Ridgeville High School. We hope you will be joining us then. Till then, I'm Jim Merling. Thanks so much for listening.
You've been listening to the Scholastic Games of Lorain County, produced by Jim Merling, co-written by Bob Tayak. Production assistance was provided by AAME Coca ML and Richard McDaniel. Support for the program comes from the Community West Foundation, utilizing grants from the Nordson Corporation, the Alfred Ask You Fund, administered by the Community Foundation of Lorain County, and the Nord Family Foundation. We're sponsored on WEOL by the Elyria Public Library System. And this is David Mark.